start now.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll just start with the demonstration. Just hold on. This is my current sugar, 115. Now we can start. Okay. So, I think my learned speaker actually directly came into the things, which I really wanted to discuss. Okay. So, my take on this is no. We don't need blood glucose monitoring. You just saw now, I don't have a glucometer, right? I don't have a glucose strip, yet I check my blood sugar, it's 115, and I think I need a cup of coffee, right? Maybe. Okay, so this is what Professor Satish Garg says, right? And this is a person we listen to when we talk about technology. I would say if not within the 5 years, definitely in the next 10 years, sensors will take place of the glucose meters and meters will be a thing of the past. And if you still think that things do not become obsolete, please look at this illustrious list of things which we use very frequently now, don't we? Right? So floppy disk, how many use floppy disk now? I don't know, right? What I'll talk on is A, improvement in technology, the patient and human factor, because that is what we really want to talk about. Does CGM really help us understand beyond HbA1c? And I just give some finishing moves, which will, I think, this is WWE, so in the spirit of that, I think we'll come with that. Okay, so let's look at improvement in technology. So the first myth is, which my learned speaker talked a lot about, CGM requires calibration with blood glucose monitoring. You still require a blood glucose monitor. That is what often people think. These are the currently available devices. Abbott Freestyle Libre Pro doesn't require calibration. A Dexcom G6, the most modern version, doesn't require calibration. The other two do require, but then that will also go away very soon. Okay? With evolving technology, calibration will soon become thing of the past, right? CGM are not accurate. Accuracy, right? Coming from a large number of people who don't even check their HbA1cs, who forget, doing their CBCs, who forget going to the doctors. These people to talk about accuracy, I think it's a little, off, but still, let's talk about accuracy. We talk about a term which is known as mean absolute relative difference, MARD, right? Which is a popular term. So just I want to tell you, lower the value means better, okay? So because I'll discuss this. And not to be confused with a very famous movie with the same title. Okay? So this is the MARD value of various glucometers. The lowest being about 5% for next, this is a published data. The highest being an illustrious value of 20% for a glucometer which you have not heard about, right? So the difference of readings varies from 5 to 20%, right? So glucometers are extremely accurate, as you can clearly see. They may be as inaccurate as 20. And 50% of the glucometers had a MARD value of more than 50%, of more than 10%, right? So more than 50% of the glucometers tested in the study were inaccurate by more than 10%. Let's compare this with CGM devices. Let's talk about accuracy. Dexcom G6, this is published data. Dexcom G6, 9% MARD value. Guardian Connect, 9.6. Freestyle Libre, 9.7. Eversense, 8.5. None of them cross 10%. So, the available CGM devices are as accurate, or you can say as inaccurate, as more than 50% of the glucometers available in market. Right? What do you say for that? Next. Most current CGM devices are accurate or inaccurate. And again, another movie, Mard Ko Dard Nahi Hota, right? So, if you want a painless way of getting an accurate, reasonably accurate glucose monitoring, I think you use a CGM. Third, very common myth, this is not a gimmick, this is actually an accurate value, right? I actually wanted to bring a glucometer, but for the spirit of not pricking myself, I didn't, right? The value which you get with a CGM is as accurate, and it can also be used for making therapeutic decisions. I think the thing what you said is thing of the past. If you see what the current FDA says in 2016, this is what FDA said. FDA expands the indication for CGM to replace finger stick for taking treatment decisions. So you can take treatment decisions based on your CGM data. You don't need to do finger stick checking, right? And the replace BG trial, we'll come to that in a minute. Let's talk about patient and clinician factors. How frequently do you check your capillary blood glucose? This is a question which was asked in a survey, and you can very clearly see from here, in type 1 patients, only 40% of patients with type 1 diabetes check more than 5 times a day. Type 2 patients, only 3% check more than 5 times a day. 66% of type 2 patients check less than 3 times a day, right? Now, you may talk all about SMBG if you want, but the reality is patients don't check their sugars, right? I'll repeat. Patients don't check their sugars. If they don't check it, accuracy, everything else goes in the dustbin, because if they are not going to check, and this is survey, and as you know, surveys are very honest. Patients tend to be very, very honest about what they talk in survey, right? So I think the real value may be much lower than this. Again, when patients were asked to use a CGM, immediately their value of checking, their frequency of checking went from 3 to 5 tests a day to about 8 to 15 times a day. So if they're given a CGM, they were now ready to check 15 times a day, right? So this is the point, okay. And then this is what we harped upon, that does it improve hypoglycemia? This is a recent abstract where they showed that higher rates of scanning to self-monitoring was associated with improved glucose measures, including reduced risk of hyper and hypoglycemia. So it does reduce risk of hypoglycemia, does reduce risk of hyperglycemia, right? There is a clearly increased compliance in patients who use CGM. Does it improve quality of life? Yes, again, multiple studies have shown that use of CGM compared to your conventional readings improved quality of life, reduced hypoglycemia, improved HbA1c. These are all been proven in clinical studies. And let's go beyond HbA1c. Let's look at two patients, right? This is patient 1, HbA1c of 6.6%. You can clearly see the graph, it's beautiful. Another patient with HbA1c of 6.6%, right? Same HbA1c, but you can clearly see the difference. I just want to show the visual aspect of it. Just see the visual, right? You can clearly see one patient is very different from the other. So HbA1c alone, and I think I'm going to the earlier debate, HbA1c alone probably is not enough, right? So these two patients are clearly completely different. HbA1c at best is a weak predictor of hypoglycemia. This is what clinical studies have shown. However, time in range is a much better predictor, right? So lower time in range is associated with better glycemic, and also associated with reduced risk of retinopathy and other risk populations. And I think we have been talking this since morning. So this is what in 2019, or maybe 2009 probably, Bansi sir would be saying, boss, what's your HbA1c? 2029 for sure, we will be talking about, boss, what's your time in range, right? This is the reality. And just some finishing moves. Replace BG trial. So don't listen to me, right? Listen to clinical evidence. There are 2 clinical randomized controlled trials which have shown that CGM is useful. Replace BG trial, which though did not show difference in HbA1c, did show that it is as safe and as effective as SMBG. So CGM is safe and effective, right? And the second study, which is known as IMPACT trial, showed that in one group, CGM was used, and the other group, the blood glucose monitoring was used, and there was a clearly reduction in risk of hypoglycemia when CGM was used, right? So you had this difference, though the HbA1c was the same, okay? And finally, and we have a referee here, a big champion of use of CGM in the United Kingdom. I just show some of his blog posts and tweets, right? And I think, though unfair to my opponent, it seems that the referee probably prima facie is on my side. Just one slide, right? So I think this is where we end. So just to sort of conclude, right? A, referee is on my side. B, we don't like to prick ourselves. And C, CGM is as accurate or as inaccurate as SMPG. Thank you.
Thank you. Both the speakers have done justice to their side of the story. Now the time for rebuttal.
So Om came with the whole flashy thing. He flashed himself, used an app which is not approved. Again, when we talk about MARD, the best SMBG device has a MARD of 5%. You're talking about 9.6%. The Contour TS and AccuCheck Nano is 5%. So in my rebuttal, I only have to say this. Mard ko dard nahi, but aapko ek hamdard ki zarurat hai. There was a plea that please use CGMS, please use time and range. Everyone is happy using capillary blood glucose. We are happy making decisions on capillary blood glucose on a daily basis. What will we do with this 256 readings? Patients will turn into a hypochondriac. His quality of life will suffer. He'll be an obsessive, convulsive guy like you. He'll keep using this everywhere. Why do this? Make simple decisions. You're maximum giving him 4 or 5 shots of insulin. What will you do with 256 readings? I close my debate here. Thank you.
You can go back for a rebuttal.
So, we don't want our patients to be hypochondriac, but we want our patients to be more involved in the care. I think, the era of modern medicine is patient-centric, patient-factored, and patient-involved in their own treatment decisions. We ask our patients, boss, which drug would you like? These are the side effects, these are the benefits, right? We all talk to our patients about being patient-centric, right? And asking the patient to check more frequently than they are asked to is probably a form of patient-centric, right? So it's not necessary that patient may check 256 times a day, but as you can see clearly from the studies, they do check 8 times a day or 15 times a day, which is fair, right? It depends on their level of hypochondriacism, right? So end of the day, I think it is their choice. We leave the choice to them. And second very important point, right, which you talked about, I'll not talk about GLIMP app. We can probably discuss that as a separate debate altogether, right? That was the show aspect of it. But we talked about money, okay? We talked about money, and this touched my nerve, okay? So if we are doing CGM to make money, right, at end of the day, if that money improves the care of the patient, and if that extra money reduces the risk of hypoglycemia, and in my hospital, the risk of an admission for hypoglycemia is extremely expensive. It costs 50,000 because the patient gets admitted with a neurophysician who first does EEG, then does a MRI, then does an MRI, and then finally concludes that the reason for the patient having altered sensorium was actually hypoglycemia, right? So one episode of hypoglycemia can set you back to 50,000 rupees, which will, about be 20 CGM for any patient, right? So at the end of the day, I would say that money is a relative thing, right? For those who have a lot of it, probably don't see the value of it, right? But at the end of the day, it's something which you can all debate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So one of the joys of always coming back to India is the passion in debates. Both the speakers, मर्द तो आप जैसे हो उसका बात कुछ समझ में नहीं आता है, वो थोड़ा different है बोरिस के साथ. So a couple of things to say. I think to both the speakers, I would say once again I would read out the actual debate, which is there a need for blood glucose monitoring in the era of CGM and FGM? Okay. You made a fantastic point about quality of life, and you're right, I do support quality of life. We have worked on Libra, CGM, and Raji makes an excellent point, which is well proven because of the work done by David Kerr and and other people about inaccuracies in all sorts of devices. But if you go back to the question that we have, at the moment, apart from physicians' role in looking at science and providing care, it is also about making sure about the patient in front and their socioeconomic ability to buy something. What we have across the world, UK, US, places in which data is available, technology is favored towards people who come from an affluent background. And that is what you have. Blood glucose monitoring, till today, will remain the basic course of checking their blood glucose at all. If, however, both the devices were the same price, then yes, you probably are moving towards it. All you're doing is changing its evolution of technology. It's a bit like, but as the last referee, Dr. Joshi, said, just because you got a modern iPhone doesn't mean you throw away your telephone from the house. And I think the analogy is still the same. As things stand, with present pricing structures as it is, blood glucose monitoring will still stay as well as alongside CGM and FGM. In 10 years' time, you're right, Banshi Saboo or Sir Banshi Saboo by that time, when he does stand up, he probably will be able to say we're doing time in range. But at the moment, neither is the industry, nor is the situation in a place where it will completely replace it. I think both have a place, it's an evolution. So as a referee, both eloquent debates, both fantastic, but I'm going to go with Dr. Govil on this one. Thank you.
So that is good, we have a winner this time at least. And thank you all, and thank you Dr. Parthakar also for being here. Now we have the time for match 4, that is, should type 2 diabetes patient without micro or macrovascular complication be treated first with SGLT2?